Aldridge, author of the Port Providence Hurricane Hope series, and you are here because you have just read the enhanced edition of The Doctor's Unexpected Family. Today, I am at First Baptist Church in Galveston, home of the Grace, Mart, and Mercy Clinic, the inspiration for Pete's Grace Space in the book. And I'm here with Lisa Carnes, who is one of the members of First Baptist Church, and who actually helped work the Grace, Mart, and Mercy Clinic at the time. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today. It's really exciting to just be able to get kind of your perspective, and I know your family has been members of the church here and involved for a long time, and Galveston's no stranger to hurricanes, but Ike was a little bit different, and it seems like everyone on the island was involved, affected to some extent, and I know your family was too, and just that sense of community and bringing everyone together. What do you remember about that time?
I would say the thing that sticks out in my mind the most is everyone's sense of thankfulness and gratefulness. And that seems an odd thing to think of when everybody had some kind of destruction. But everyone was so grateful for what they had because everybody knew somebody who had worse. You know, somebody had 10 feet of water in their house and we only had 14 inches.
Yeah.
So people's regard for monetary things or material things completely changed, I think, at that time, more than any time in my memory. And I just remember everyone was just so gracious to everyone else.
Right.
People who were in your neighborhood that maybe you didn't talk to more than a wave whenever they went down the street, you know, you had dinner with because they gave all their meat that they had in the freezer to cook, and the police officers came by. My son was cooking on a grill, and they fed the police when they came by, and it was all the doctor's meat down the street because they knew how to deal with the storm.
I remember meeting my neighbor from 2 doors down that I hadn't met in the 3 years that we had lived there, and I met them because they had the one working toilet on the street. So very important. Yeah, I totally remember that, and I know I used to tell people that, you know, going through the experience of the hurricane and having our home and our business flood wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me, and people were very confused when I would say that, but it truly wasn't. And I think one of the reflections of that community spirit and that thankfulness was how First Baptist Church put on this place for people to just get the things that they needed, right?
Because people had, I mean, if you think about it, if you lost 10 feet in your house, you have absolutely nothing. No towels. I mean, no dishes.
Right. So let's talk. 10 feet is like up here, way above where Lisa and I are. I'm only 5 feet tall, so we're talking twice the size of me. And that was a really real number. A lot of people had 10 feet of water in their house, and that goes up to the ceilings, and if you're in a one-story, that goes into your attic. And so think about everything that's on the first floor of your house being gone. Right.
So we had furniture donated, you know, all kinds of clothes, toys, and people came with their children, and, you know, like if kids lost everything, it was comforting to them to be able to go in there and shop and buy for nothing a toy. Like they could go and pick out a toy. They could pick out shoes that were their size and clothes that were their size. And
I think one of the things that does is it gives people a little bit of dignity in the process. You don't feel like it's like somebody's handing you a bag of stuff that's a handout, but that one of the nice things that Pastor Ray and Sherry Metter, who were the pastors of the church at the time, did was set it up so it was like a store, and so people felt like they could choose what they wanted, right?
Another thing that was very meaningful to the community were the washing machines and the restrooms and showers that they put in the back parking lot.
And those were set up just kind of down from where we're talking right now, and those were donated by Park Cities Baptist Church in Dallas, who just got on the road and came down, and those stayed here for months. And those were, you wouldn't think about it, but that was a big deal.
Because again, you know, it's hard to have any dignity if you don't have any clean clothes.
If you smell. And you do smell after mucking out your drywall and your nasty carpet and all that stuff. But one of the things that struck me too about pulling this all together and going and getting, there's a strong medical community here at the church as well, thanks to UTMB, which isn't too far away from here. But bringing in the doctors to help and the med students to do the clinic and all. But at the same time, one of the things that struck me is that this building behind us was severely damaged in the hurricane. There was a ton of water in here, and so all the carpeting, all the pews, this is a building that's been here since the 1960s, right? This is, I think, the fourth iteration of First Baptist Church in Galveston over its more than 100-year history, but that they were able to go in and create a space that was totally damaged and totally needed to be renovated too.
They scraped out the floors and they took the seats out because we had like opera seat kind of chairs.
Yeah, remember that.
And so because the water got in them, they were completely ruined. So they took those out, but we still had the pew backs at that time. And they put plywood over them to make like long tables.
Yeah.
And that's how they fixed it.
And so you worked the door.
Yeah, my job, I was the doorkeeper kind of.
She was the greeter. Lisa was the greeter, active on the ground at Grace Mart. And like, what do you remember just about the people who came in? Do you remember anything about just?
Well, I know there was nothing negative. I mean, it's not like anybody was fighting or pushing or shoving. I mean, everybody was just nice coming there to, to get things that they needed. I mean, it was a different time. It wasn't, there were probably people from many different socioeconomic levels there. They weren't just one socioeconomic level.
Galveston is a very diverse city.
So there were a lot of different people, and people of all ages.
And the hurricane didn't discriminate.
Right.
It didn't matter who you were or where you had been or where you came from.
Right.
This entire island was covered by water. I think that was really amazing. And one of the lessons, the real lesson that Pete learns in the book is that he thought that he had to go out to another country to do a mission or something to be able to change the world. And he realizes that you don't have to change everyone's life. You can change one life at a time. And I think that that's what some of the Grace Mart and Mercy Clinic was able to do.
Well, I know I personally told the Lord when I was, in middle school, I felt called to missions, but I didn't really feel called to go anywhere in particular. So I just told the Lord that I would serve him wherever he took me. And when I joined this church, that's what the Lord reminded me when I came here, is that you said you would serve me wherever I took you. And this is where he brought me. So while I've been on the island for almost 30 years, he's found different ways for me to serve him, and that was one little way.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing your story and for being with us today, Lisa. I really appreciate it. You have just gotten an amazing look behind the scenes at one of the stories that inspired the Doctor's Unexpected Family. Thank you for joining me and for Lisa and for joining Lisa today. We will see you next time.